Hello, everybody. This is IAmTheLionRider, and in the last episode, everyone knows I worked on the Talkin' episode. But off camera, I did a couple of small changes before we get into the Red Panda, and then I think also do the Red Crown Crane exhibit this episode. I fixed up the Talkin' house a little bit. It's a little more accurate now. I added some detailing to the front. They have some poles and stuff, and I also added the back to it. They have a little actual entrance that's the chain link fence where the Talkin busted out of and then ran around the zoo. And then past that, I've done a little bit of custom fence work that I knew you guys wouldn't want to see on camera, but I made the fence have a nice railing and some poles that go around the entire thing, just to make it more accurate to the zoo. But like I said, without further ado, we're doing the Red Panda exhibit, so let's get started. Hey everybody, it's me, IAmTheLionRider, and today we're going to be doing the Red Panda enclosure. I'm also joined here with Minty today. Say hello,
Yeah,
Minty.
how's it going, everyone?
uh,
Oh my
so
god.
uh, so yeah, basically, in this episode, we're going to be doing the Red Panda slash Red Crowned Crane exhibits,
Red Panda.
and the Red Crowned Crane.
Yeah, Red Panda.
Um,
Oh god.
so I know I mentioned it in the last episode, but obviously, just to get like a lot of the actual spacing correct with all these episodes, I've been having to a little bit off camera, like kind of like adjust some of the terrain and stuff just to, and I do a little bit of terraforming on camera here in just a minute because I noticed the Red Panda enclosure doesn't have a path that the keepers could go to. So I had to take Minty's favorite word, creative liberties,
Creative liberty.
and add a staff path. Um,
Yeah.
because basically I just needed it to connect up to where they had whatever. And I also was adjusting the path, and the path system, like if you look here, it's doing some funky stuff. I've never seen it
Yeah,
do
I don't
this.
know what's going on here. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like connecting like under it or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah. So like I had to like make like weird stuff, and like it, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess that works, but like then it like makes like this weird like diagonal like bump. And like I was recording this when Dalton was in a call with me, and we were both like so confused. We're like, "Why is it doing that? That makes no sense." I eventually fixed it though. It eventually makes sense, but like that was such a weird thing when I saw it. I was like, I've never seen it do that.
Yeah, I'm not, on patch system. This is just so glitchy though.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
the one thing that everyone can agree on, like, and complain. Because
Mhm.
everyone's like, "I want this animal, I want this," but everyone's like, "Yes, that system bad."
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, like it works really well, but when it doesn't,
Yeah,
it's like the most frustrating thing ever.
yeah, exactly.
Um, and so yeah, you can see me here. I'm basically adding a little staff path in between the Takin and the Red
Yeah.
Panda enclosure. Um, just because I'm
Is
not
that
entirely sure where the keeper gate is located in real life. I have no
yeah?
idea. I know there's a
Is
gate
that where
between the
the
red pandas and the cranes, but
yeah, yeah,
I doubt they go through the crane exhibit every time just to get to the red pandas. That wouldn't make much sense. So,
yeah? Usually they're like hidden all that foliage and stuff. It's like guests don't want to see that, and it's like I know like we want to see it because we're like, oh yeah,
yeah.
I don't want to pretend I'm like a zookeeper and shit like that now. But like most guests are like, I just want to see the animal and like the pretty surroundings. I don't want to see like the management side.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so for me, like when I went to the zoo for my little research trip a few months ago, like that was a thing. Is I was like, luckily I went during like winter when like all the foliage was dead, so I could
Yeah,
see the
yeah,
majority of it, but it was still hard to see. I saw that like the red panda holding facility and where they feed them and keep them and stuff at night is underneath the bridge, so you can see me making that now. It's like the little chain link part. Um,
that's actually like smart architecture.
yeah, so like it's away. So the guests don't notice it. They
Yeah,
only notice like the big, normal yard with like the climbing frame and stuff, which I begin building. So the red panda enclosure isn't anything super sophisticated. It's just a big like playhouse, like climbing frame for them. And
Yeah.
past that, it's literally just a yard with like a wooden fence. It was a very cheaply made enclosure. Like you can definitely tell it was like just a
Yeah.
quick money decision. Like, hey, what's a
Yeah,
quick
that's
cheap
all I like.
animal? Red pandas. Okay, you know.
Yeah, it's because everyone loves them. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah,
so they threw them
so
in
it's,
here.
yeah, we'll put them together and there you go. Red Panda.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness, because I don't know, it's like, remember when like red pandas were super obscure? Like, I feel like they
Hmm.
only kind of become popular in zoos in 2000.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Because I remember like when the zoo first got red pandas, it was like a big deal. It was like, oh my god, red
Yeah,
pandas! Like,
yeah, that was
um,
the same in Dublin Zoo.
but
They were like,
then
oh, you
everyone
can't
got,
have
yeah,
red
but I remember
pandas.
then
Yeah,
everyone got them.
yeah,
And
now they're
then
not special anymore.
yeah, now they're just kind of like the same thing as like otters, where like everyone has them, but like they're not like special anymore. It's just kind of like, oh
I
yeah,
still like them though.
yeah, people like them and they're marketable. Like I think, like I said, the zoo made the red panda its kind of unofficial mascot, even though like
Yeah,
it's weird because like again, the giraffe is the logo of the zoo, but all the merchandise is still red pandas. Like I remember they had a deal where like you could get like this limited edition Roger Williams Park Zoo like red panda plushie with like it was wearing a blue
yeah,
shirt with the logo on it and stuff. Um, so yeah, but yeah, you would think for like a thing that they're treating like the zoo mascot, they would have like given you know more permanent looking home, but they just kind of went, no, it just needs a climbing frame. But
yeah.
it's
I
a
feel
nice
like
climbing frame.
yeah, yeah. No, I remember seeing a picture. It looks really nice, but I feel like that's with a lot of Himalayan species. Like you look at snow leopard enclosures, they're like usually quite crap as well. You know.
Hmm.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's usually just like a cage. Like with a lion, it's like you have this really wide open field with a tiger, just beautiful jungle, and snow leopard. I would put them in like an aviary.
yeah, like a
That's what
chain
I
link
would do.
fence covered in like rocks and
Yeah,
trees and
exactly. Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, like you're not
Just
gonna
put like
see him anyway.
chicken wire above it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not gonna see him anyway. Yeah, because again, Roger Williams is like even similar with that, where they have the rock work like where they climb up and stuff, but the rest of the enclosure is literally just like a bunch of like bushes and stuff, like to where you
Yeah,
can barely
yeah.
see them half the time. Um, but what I did like is because I haven't really had to do any climbing frames for the zoo so far. Like I can't even think of any really.
Yeah, it's like I can't really think of any of the primates that you've done so far. But
I don't think I've
you've
had
done
any
most of them.
primates yet
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I think
yeah.
most of those are gonna be in the they're gonna be in the
In the
South
tropical
America
areas.
building. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And they even there, I don't think they have. They don't really have a traditional climbing frame. The howler monkeys have a
Yeah, isn't it just like logs and stuff?
yeah, they have like a artificial tree. So this
Yeah,
is like the
yeah,
only one that like is like a true. Well, actually, this one and the Binturong are gonna be the only two with like true climbing frames that I'll be using.
yeah.
And yeah, it
It's
was
looks
kind of
great
fun.
so far.
Yeah, you can see I did a
Yeah, I
little
like
piece
the
by
ladder.
piece,
Yeah,
yeah, staircase. And they can climb up it. I just to be safe, I don't know if you saw that I sunk some logs into
yeah.
it
You added the logs in.
just in the off chance they couldn't use it, but they apparently can. Apparently they can climb up wood just fine. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
so that was nice. But just to be safe, better safe than sorry.
yeah.
And
Exactly.
then what I noticed here was a situation that was interesting because I was wondering. Obviously, I made this like a very tall climbing frame, and I had one of two
Yeah,
things. I built it from like the top down, simply because I wanted to match the eye level that the climbing frame is from the viewing platform up on top.
yeah. Because if you start from the bottom, then you're gonna put like the main vista like way too low or way too high.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to get that like as close as possible.
Yeah,
Because it's pretty high. It's basically at like eye level. It's a not eye level, but the top of the climbing frame is like where your feet are on the viewing platform. So I wanted to get that right from the get-go. And then I noticed now, like as I was building it down, since I wanted it accurate, I'm like, okay, so I made it a little bit too tall. So I have to shrink the entire thing into the ground a little bit. You can see me there. I was debating adding another platform That would have made it like, you know, a little. It wouldn't have made it accurate, and so I eventually choose to get rid of that in favor of just what I do right now, which is. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so what I end up doing is I just lower the platform enough a little bit, and then that ladder that leads to the ground that I just have it floating, you know, like 10 feet in the air, I just extend that so that it's like about twice as big. You can see that right now. I just kind of I sink it. I'm like, okay, well, this is if it was at like, you know, the true level, and I'm like, that's too low. So then I've kind of met somewhere in the middle, and then yeah, so that's what I settled on. And yeah, I think it looks pretty good. So then I'm using my photo reference to like rotate the entire thing to the correct position. So I'm using like the reference to try and match it the best I can. So you see me like tilting the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like super accurate, you know.
Yeah, I know. I think it looks really good. Like this episode, I'm actually like pretty proud of. I think it actually turned out really well, and a lot less headaches than I thought it would be. I thought, well, yeah, I mean, the pass system was like, you know, a little bit of a pain, but like it wasn't that big of a deal compared to other episodes. And I thought after the African crowned crane that the red crowned crane was going to be a mess. I was like, oh,
yeah,
great.
It so good. Like,
yeah.
Like, this is incredible, you know?
Because basically, I took all of the mistakes I made from that mod, and took all of the things I learned from other mods, like in the modding series. You know, I did the cassowary, and I was like, okay, so
great, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll probably release that at some point. You know, since why not? But yeah, so I was like, you know, already used to the ostrich. You can see me here. I was trying to add the foraging thing, but for some reason I couldn't hide the little wood. So I tried using mulch at first, and then I covered it and buried it, but I was like, nah, this just doesn't look good. It looks like a big pile of mud in the middle of the enclosure.
Yeah, I wish there was a way how you can sink that thing in, and still was like flat terrain.
Yeah.
Not frontier.
Yeah, I tried using like some of the toys. I know they have a box in their enclosure, and like I was able to use the feeder, but like this enclosure doesn't really have much vegetation in it. So what I ended up doing is I used a lot of like small bushes and grasses to kind of emulate like
yeah, like overgrown grass.
yeah, or not just grass, but too like fallen leaves and stuff. Like I forgot what the bush I used was. But I find this like kind of like reddish green bush, and it kind of looks like fallen like maple leaves almost.
Cowberry bush.
Oh, so this is interesting, right? So in the actual zoo, they have a feeder for the red pandas, and it looks very similar to the large barrel feeder, and it's hanging from like this little thing on top. And so since the barrel item uses physics, I can't just drop it in, and you know, or else it'll like pop out and stuff. So I thought of a clever technique to get it in place. Basically, I'm building using primitives like a little like holder box, basically. So it keeps it from like, I basically had to like mess with it a bunch, but as you can see, it eventually stays in place. And so, you know, I'm able to just kind of make a little cage for it. And then, yeah, it just looks like I have like a little feeder that the keepers can use.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Like, I've seen like people do this with like elephant enclosures, but never in like Planet Zoo, like, because it's so hard to put enrichment in building pieces. It's always just on its own.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually use this, yeah.
Yeah, because it was just a little clever thing. I thought, I was like, okay, you know, they feed the barrel, and then I was able to place another, and then there you go. And so then I built a little mini climbing frame. Again, creative liberties. Just because I don't know how else they get to that level other than some sort of platform. So I just assumed it was just a platform with a ladder. Like, I thought that was the most likely situation. And I think it comes out looking pretty good. And so yeah, that's Pretty much the Red Panda enclosure. I think I just add like the railings to um, the little playground climbing set or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but it's nothing, super advanced. And then from here, I was debating this being the whole episode, but since we're only at like what the like 10, 12 minute mark,
Yeah, 14 minutes, I think. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, nah, it's probably worth it if I instead um, use the time to do the Red Crown Crane as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just because I knew the Moon Bear episode and the Snow Leopard episode are probably going to be pretty big, just
Yeah, like
because
30 minutes.
yeah, because that's a big enclosure,
Yeah, yeah.
and I knew
Really
just
beautiful rock work.
oh yeah, it's gonna be a fun episode to do, and I just
Yeah.
knew that like I'm gonna be needing to do both anyway. Like when I start the
Yeah.
Snow Leopard episode next episode, I'm gonna be doing part of the Moon Bear enclosure just because they're connected. Um,
Yeah.
I forgot to add the climbable thing to the Red Panda enclosure, and then it said for some reason they can climb the.
Yeah, I don't know if
That
they.
seemed odd.
Yeah. I think maybe you have to put the climbing frame like on the fence as well, or the climbing barrier on the fence. Like it's so hard with the traversal area and stuff.
Yeah.
Usually I just put elephant grass everywhere around the border.
Yeah, I think I might do something like that because that was just like an odd thing. I was like, I don't know why it says I can escape.
Yeah.
Um, but right now I'm
Actually,
doing. Oh, what were you gonna say?
yeah. You should do that with the moon bear. So you know how like in the real zoo, the moon bears just stay at like the door of their house.
Yep.
Just put elephant grass around that so they can't walk anywhere.
Oh.
It's real life.
Yeah, that's fair. So I'm doing the fencing for the Crown Crane episode or the exhibit right now. And they have a kind of nice exhibit, but I hate them because when I was a small child, so their enclosure is in a canyon. They used to have two of them. I think they only have one now, but they used to have two cranes. And since their thing is on an elevated path, I remember as a kid I had a red baseball cap that we used to use since the polar bears were attracted to them.
The polar bear, yeah.
And then one day I was, being held over the edge to look at the crane, and then my baseball cap fell in. Yeah, it fell in the cage. Then the bird got it, and so then we had to contact one of the keepers to get it back. So, so I don't know what that keeper had to do. He had to like wrestle a crane to like give the hat back, but.
Oh yeah, no, people don't realize how like dangerous like storks and cranes are.
Yeah.
Like, especially with like swans and like pelicans and stuff like that. Because I work with them, they're very vicious, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they're strong too. Like they can like break your arm, you know. It's like.
I just love how I have a story with like every animal in this zoo for some reason.
Spiritually connected.
Oh, I do want to mention. So that little lake I did, I don't know why I was really proud of the rock work around it. I think it's like really nice how colorful it is. It makes it like.
Nice. Yeah.
I just like it because it's like a very like serene like like
scenic and,
yeah like
yeah.
East
Oh,
Asian
yeah.
environment. Yeah.
Yeah, like man-made kind of like pool, like a koi pond and all that. And they have
Yeah.
things going around the edge. Yeah, really, really nice.
Yeah, so like I like just in general, like a lot of these exhibits, like while they're not the nicest decorations, since they're literally just like wooden fences and some fields and stuff.
Serve its purpose.
There's a nice atmosphere though, because like they kind of surround all of the surrounding areas with bamboo and stuff. And so for instance, the cranes, this is like a thing you would kind of like blink if you blink and you miss it type thing. But next to the cranes, they have a brick wall separating it from the red pandas. And it also acts as kind of like a storm drain. And so like I wanted to include that. I use like I think it was painted bricks, and I just basically lined the wall. And so it's just kind of a small little detail, but like I think it actually like looks nice, just to make it look nicer. And then just to make the surrounding area look a little nicer looking, I later on I terraformed the surrounding area, just in the back, because like that road or whatever eventually leads outside of the zoo into just Roger Williams Park. Like normally that's like one of the maintenance roads.
Isn't that the one that Taken got out on?
Yeah, so like that road is like where the Takan escaped and then ran around the zoo. So he went the other way though. So he went towards the zoo. But yeah, he easily could have escaped to the park
Yeah.
and like literally been downtown Providence in like 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah, can you imagine like just sitting in the park, but like you haven't been to the zoo yet, and you're like, is that like a giant orange mountain goat?
oh yeah, like I think that was what was funny is when they did the news stories on the Takan escaping, like
Yeah,
they describe, they're like, if you don't know what it is, because they're like, yeah, what is that thing? Because again, it looks like a Dr. Seuss creature or something. They just didn't know what it was, so they just immediately go like, they had to explain it. Meanwhile, if it was any other animal at the zoo, if they explained it as, oh, it's a moon bear, oh, a bear escaped, oh, a snow leopard escaped, oh, I know what a snow leopard is. Everyone would know what it is, but a Takan is the one that you're like, what? I feel like there are three animals that people would have been confused about: Takan, Aoudad, and Watusi. Like, if you just said those three names. Or yeah, like if you had like a weird exotic name, where it's very easy to be like, oh yeah, like a giraffe or an elephant or a zebra, like.
Yeah, it's like Taken. It's like what, like the dude from Star Wars, the general.
Yeah.
It's like what?
So now we're jumping into the time lapse of the actual crane itself. So I took a lesson from last time where I tried turning the peacock into a crane and it didn't work out. So instead, this time I took something that has the proportions. I always say that now. The proportions of a crane. So a longer neck, bigger body, long legs, which is the ostrich. And so
Worked out great.
yeah, and so this worked out way better than the crane, because all I had to do was extend out that beak. I fix it up in a little bit, and then I make those legs really really skinny, and then I add the third toe, and then smooth out the rest of the feet. Getting the third toe right was kind of hard, but I eventually get it. Yeah. So yeah, you can just see me kind of modifying the gross feet, but they look okay at the end. And then
The entire way through this as well, you were listening to all of Hamilton.
yeah. I was developing this during my first movie night on my new Discord server. You can check it out in the description and join, and it's a good old grand time. But we were all watching Hamilton at the time, so when I was doing the time lapse or whatever, it was just playing the entire Hamilton soundtrack sped up, when I was playing this back.
Yes. It's so fun.
So right now I'm jumping into Substance Painter, which I think, even though I've done the Blender tutorial on texturing, I do think I want to do a Substance tutorial at some point for those who have it. Though I feel like if you have Substance, you probably know what you're doing, because it's a professional software for texturing. But I'm just bouncing around back and forth. The texturing wasn't super sophisticated, because Red Crown Crane is just basically a white crane with a little black detailing on the neck and then the red forehead. But yeah, so that's the episode, and you can see the crane in action. You can see it actually, looks pretty good. Unlike the African Crown Crane, I might actually put this one up on the workshop. Yeah, so you can see that in action, and then obviously I threw in some cute little Red Panda footage, just since that was an equal part of this episode. But thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned next time, because we will be doing the snow leopard exhibit. So yeah. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Bye.